Right now, as you're watching this video, there's someone making $40,000 a year who's building real wealth. And there's someone making $400,000 a year who's completely broke. I'm going to tell you why in the next few minutes, and it's going to change how you think about money forever. But first, let me ask you something uncomfortable. Have you ever noticed that the smartest people you know aren't always the richest? That financial success seems almost random? Like there's some invisible rule book everyone else got except you? Here's the truth that no one talks about. Money isn't about math. It's about psychology. And the person who understands this has a bigger advantage than someone with a finance degree and a trust fund combined. Stay with me, because what I'm about to reveal will explain why you make the financial decisions you do, why you feel anxious about money even when you're doing okay, and most importantly, how to fix it. Section 1, The Lottery Winner. Let me tell you about Jack Whittaker. In 2002, he won $315 million in the Powerball lottery. The biggest jackpot ever won by a single ticket at that time. 5 years later, he was broke. Worse than broke. His granddaughter died from a drug overdose. His daughter died. His wife left him. He was robbed multiple times. And he ended up saying publicly that he wished he'd torn up the ticket. Now, most people hear this story and think, well, that wouldn't happen to me. I'd be smart with the money, but here's the uncomfortable truth. You probably wouldn't be, because Jack's problem wasn't lack of intelligence. It wasn't even lack of money management skills. His problem was that his psychology around money couldn't handle the reality of having $315 million. See, money doesn't just amplify who you are. It reveals who you are. And most of us? We have no idea who we actually are when it comes to money. Think about your own life for a second. Have you ever gotten a raise or a bonus, felt excited for about a week, and then somehow you're still stressed about money? That's not a math problem. That's a psychology problem, and this brings me to the first major principle. Section 2. The Happiness Paradox. Principle 1. More money doesn't equal more happiness, but the right money psychology does. Princeton researchers found that happiness increases with income up to about $75,000 a year, and then it plateaus. But wait, before you say, well, I'm not at $75,000 yet, hear me out, because it gets more interesting. Other studies show that people making $200,000 are not significantly happier than people making $80,000. But here's the twist. People who feel in control of their money are significantly happier, regardless of the amount. Let me repeat that, control matters more than amount. I have a friend who makes $60,000 a year. She saves $1,000 a month, has zero debt, and sleeps like a baby. I have another friend making $180,000 who can't sleep because he's drowning in payments for a house he can't afford, cars he doesn't need, and a lifestyle that's bankrupting him emotionally and financially. Who's richer? On paper? Friend number 2. In reality? Friend number 1. And it's not even close. This is what I call the control paradox. The person who needs less has more. Not because they have more money, but because they have more control. But here's where it gets really interesting. Why do we sabotage our own control? Why do we buy things we don't need? Why do we make financial decisions that our future selves regret? The answer lies in something psychologists discovered that will blow your mind. Section 3. Your brain is lying to you. Your brain has two systems for making decisions. System 1 is fast, emotional, and automatic. System 2 is slow, logical, and deliberate. When it comes to money, System 1 is constantly sabotaging you, and you don't even know it's happening. Let me prove it to you right now. Imagine I offer you two choices. Choice A, I'll give you $50 right now, guaranteed. Choice B, you flip a coin. Heads, you get $100. Tails, you get nothing. Most people choose A, the guaranteed $50. Even though mathematically, both options are worth the same. Why? Because your System 1 brain is screaming, take the guaranteed money. Bird in the hand. Now, flip the scenario. Choice A, you owe me $50, right now. Choice B, flip a coin. Heads, you owe me $100. Tails, you owe nothing. Most people suddenly choose B. They'll gamble when facing a loss, even though it might make the loss worse. This is called loss aversion, and it's costing you thousands, maybe tens of thousands of dollars a year, in ways you don't even realize. You hold on to losing stocks because selling would make the loss real. You don't negotiate your salary because the pain of no feels worse than the gain of more money. You buy insurance you don't need because the fear of loss overwhelms the logic of probability. But it gets worse. There's another psychological trap that's even more dangerous. Section 4. The comparison trap. Principle to your financial success is not measured by absolute wealth, but by the gap between your expectations and reality. Here's a mind-bending fact. People in the 1950s, who had a fraction of the material wealth we have today, reported being happier about their financial situation than people today. How is that possible? We have smartphones, streaming services, cars with heated seats, next-day delivery for almost anything we want. The answer: the comparison game has changed. In the 1950s, you compared yourself to your neighbors, your co-workers, people in your actual life. Today, you compare yourself to everyone on the internet. You're comparing your behind-the-scenes to everyone else's highlight reel. You see someone's vacation photos and feel broke. You see someone's new car and feel inadequate. You see someone's day in my life video and suddenly your life feels small. But here's what you're not seeing: the debt, the stress, the fact that half of those vacation photos were financed with credit cards, that the new car came with a payment that makes them nauseous, that the day in my life person is desperately trying to monetize content because they're drowning financially. Social comparison is the thief of joy, but it's also the thief of wealth. Because every time you compare and come up short, you spend money trying to close the gap. And the gap is infinite, because there's always someone with more. The solution? It's not to stop caring about money. It's to change the game you're playing. And that brings me to the most important principle in this entire video. Section 5, the wealth equation. Principle 3, true wealth is what you don't see. Here's the wealth equation that nobody teaches you. Wealth, income, ego. Let me explain. Every financial decision you make is split between two purposes: building actual wealth, or signaling to others that you're wealthy. The guy with the Rolex. That's not wealth. That's ego. That watch is preventing him from building wealth. The person with the brand new luxury car? Most of the value of that car is ego. It's a rolling signal that says I have money, while simultaneously preventing them from actually having money. Real wealth is the new car you didn't buy. The vacation you could take but choose not to. The designer clothes you could afford but don't need. Wealth is invisible. It's the money you have that no one knows about. Morgan Housel tells a story about Ronald Reed, a janitor and gas station attendant who died in 2014 worth $8 million. He never earned more than minimum wage. Meanwhile, Richard Fuscone, a Harvard-educated Merrill Lynch executive, filed for bankruptcy after accumulating massive debts trying to maintain a wealthy lifestyle. The janitor became wealthy. The executive became broke. Same economy. Wildly different outcomes. Why? Because the janitor understood something crucial. Wealth is what you accumulate, not what you spend. It's the gap between your income and your ego. But here's the hard part about this principle. Section 6. The patience problem. Building wealth requires something our brains are terrible at: delayed gratification. There's a famous study called the marshmallow experiment. Researchers put kids in a room with a marshmallow and said, "You can eat this now, or wait 15 minutes and get 2 marshmallows." The kids who waited went on to have better life outcomes decades later. Better grades, better jobs, better relationships. Why? Because they understood delayed gratification. But here's the thing, we're all still those kids in the marshmallow room. Every day, we're choosing between 1 marshmallow now or 2 marshmallows later. That $5 latte? 1 marshmallow now, or invest it and have $38 in 30 years at 7% returns. Multiply that by 365 days, and you're looking at almost $14,000 from your annual coffee habit. Now, I'm not telling you to stop buying coffee. I'm telling you that every financial decision is a marshmallow test. And most of us are failing it repeatedly, then wondering why we're not wealthy. The average millionaire takes 32 years to reach their first million. Not because they don't know about investments. Not because they don't earn good money. But because building wealth is boring. It's patient. It's invisible for years and years. We live in a world of instant gratification. You can have almost anything delivered to your door in 24 hours. You can swipe right and potentially have a date tonight. You can binge an entire season of a show in one sitting, but wealth takes time. And our brains hate that, which brings me to possibly the most powerful psychological insight about money. Section 7, the Identity Shift Principle 4. Your financial behavior is driven by your identity, not your knowledge. You don't have a saving problem. You have an identity problem. Let me explain. You probably know you should save money. You probably know you should invest. You probably know you should avoid high-interest debt. You know these things. So why don't you do them? Because knowing and doing are different things. And the gap between them is called identity. James Clear, in his book Atomic Habits, explains it like this: there are 3 levels of change. Outcome-based, process-based, and identity-based. Most people try to change their finances at the outcome level. I want to save $10,000. That rarely works because it doesn't change who you are. Some people go deeper and try to change their process. I'll save $500 every month. That's better, but it's still external. The people who actually transform their finances change their identity. I am someone who lives below their means. I am someone who invests for the future. I am someone who doesn't need material things to feel valuable. See the difference? It's not what you want to do or what you're trying to do. It's who you are. When spending money conflicts with your identity, you don't spend it. It's not a matter of willpower. It's a matter of identity. Think about someone who identifies as an athlete. Do they have to force themselves to exercise? Sometimes, but it's easier for them because it aligns with who they are. Same with money. When you identify as someone who builds wealth, the behaviors become natural. But here's the question: how do you change your identity? Section 8, the scripting problem. Before we get to the solution, we need to understand why your current money identity exists in the first place. You have a money script. It was written in childhood. And it's running in the background of every financial decision you make. If you grew up poor, you might have a scarcity script. Money is always running out. Better spend it while I have it. Or the opposite: I can never let myself be poor again. I'll hoard every penny. If you grew up wealthy, you might have an abundance script. Money will always be there. I don't need to worry. Or the toxic version: my worth is tied to my net worth. I need to make more to matter more. If your parents fought about money, you might have an avoidance script. Money causes problems. Better not think about it too much. If your parents were secretive about money, you might have a mystery script. Money is confusing and complicated. I'll never really understand it. These scripts are invisible, but they're powerful. They're why you feel anxious when checking your bank account. Why you overspend when stressed. Why you self-sabotage right when you're starting to build wealth. I'll give you a personal example. My parents were extremely frugal. Growing up, we never ate out, never took vacations, never bought anything that wasn't absolutely necessary. The script I inherited? Spending money is bad, even on things that bring joy. For years, I made good money but lived like I was broke. Not because I was smart with money, but because spending it felt morally wrong, even on things I needed. That's a script, not a strategy. The first step to changing your money psychology is identifying your script. The second step? Rewriting it. Section 9, the rewrite. Here's how you actually change your money psychology. Step 1, awareness. Write down your money script. When did you learn it? Where did it come from? How is it serving you? How is it hurting you? Step 2. Separate your worth from your wealth. You are not your bank account. You are not your salary. You are not your net worth. Your value as a human being is completely independent of your financial situation. Wealthy people aren't better than you. Poor people aren't worse than you. Money is a tool, not a scoreboard. Step 3. Define your version of wealth, not society's version. Not your parents' version. Not Instagram's version. Yours. What does wealth actually mean to you? Is it freedom? Security? The ability to help others? Get specific. Write it down. Step 4. Align your spending with your values. Stop spending money on things that don't matter to you just because you think you should. If you hate fancy cars, don't buy one. If you love travel, budget for it guilt-free. If you value time over things, spend accordingly. Step 5. Build automated systems. Your psychology is unreliable. Your emotions fluctuate. Your willpower depletes. So remove the psychology from the equation. Automate your savings. Automate your investments. Make good financial behavior the default, not the decision. Step 6. Focus on the gap, not the goal. Don't obsess over becoming a millionaire. Focus on increasing the gap between what you earn and what you spend. That gap is your wealth-building machine. Grow it slowly, steadily, boringly. Step 7. Change your peer group. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. If you're surrounded by people who spend recklessly, you'll spend recklessly. If you're surrounded by people who build wealth, you'll build wealth. Choose carefully. But here's what nobody tells you about changing your money psychology. Section 10. The discomfort changing your relationship with money is going to be uncomfortable. Really uncomfortable. Because it requires you to stop impressing people who don't care about you, stop buying things you don't need, stop comparing yourself to others, stop using shopping as therapy, stop equating spending with success, and all of those things. They're coping mechanisms. They're how you've been dealing with insecurity, anxiety, stress, and inadequacy. When you stop using money to cope, you have to face the actual feelings underneath. And that's hard. You'll feel left out when your friends go to expensive restaurants you can't afford. You'll feel judged when you drive an older car. You'll feel boring when you stay in while others are out spending. You'll feel like you are missing out when you see Instagram stories from places you're not visiting. And here's the truth. You are missing out. You're missing out on debt. On stress. On living paycheck to paycheck. On financial anxiety. On being controlled by your stuff. But you're gaining something more valuable: freedom. Control. Peace of mind. The ability to say no to work you hate. The ability to say yes to opportunities you love. The ability to sleep at night without worrying about money. The question is, what's more important to you? Looking rich, or being free? Section 11. The time advantage. Let me show you something that will change your perspective on time and money. If you're 25 years old and you invest $200 a month at a 7% return, by age 65 you'll have $525,000. If you wait until you're 35 and invest the same amount, you'll have $244,000. That 10-year delay costs you $281,000. But here's the really crazy part. In those first 10 years, you only invested $24,000 of your own money. Yet that $24,000 turned into an extra $281,000 because of compound growth. Time is the most valuable asset in wealth building. Not intelligence. Not income. Not luck. Time. And the beautiful thing about time? Everyone gets the same amount each day. The janitor and the CEO both get 24 hours. The difference is how they use it. Your 25-year-old self has something your 35-year-old self would pay millions for: time. Don't waste it. But even if you're not 25, even if you're 35, 45, 55, the best time to start was yesterday. The second best time is today. Because 10 years from now, you'll wish you had started today. This is the psychological shift that separates people who build wealth from people who don't. They value the future as much as they value the present. Most people discount the future. They think, future me will figure it out. But future you? That's just present you with less time and more regrets. Section 12, the real definition of rich. Here's the final principle, and it's the most important one. Principle 5, being rich is having what you need. Being wealthy is needing less. There's a famous story about Kurt Vonnegut and Joseph Heller at a party hosted by a billionaire. Vonnegut tells Heller that their host made more money in a single day than Heller's book Catch-22 made in its entire history. Heller responds, "Yes, but I have something he will never have, enough." What a concept. We live in a culture that's obsessed with more. More money. More stuff. More success. More followers. More everything, but more is a moving target. You get the raise, and then you need the next raise. You get the house, and then you need a bigger house. You get the car, and then you need a newer car. The only way to win the more game is to stop playing it. The wealthiest person I know personally makes $90,000 a year. He's not wealthy because of what he has. He's wealthy because of what he doesn't need. He doesn't need anyone's approval. He doesn't need to impress anyone. He doesn't need the latest anything. He has enough. And because he has enough, he's free. Compare that to someone making $500,000 who needs $600,000 to feel successful. Who's wealthier? The secret to wealth isn't earning more. It's needing less. And needing less isn't about deprivation. It's about clarity. It's about knowing what actually matters to you and ignoring everything else. So let me bring this full circle. Remember at the beginning when I told you about Jack Whittaker, the lottery winner who lost everything? His tragedy wasn't about money. It was about psychology. He didn't understand that money amplifies who you are. If you're unhappy, more money makes you more unhappy. If you lack purpose, more money makes you more lost. If you seek validation externally, more money just raises the stakes, but the opposite is also true. If you're content, money enhances your contentment. If you have purpose, money amplifies your impact. If you're secure in yourself, money becomes a tool for freedom, not a crutch for your ego. The psychology of money isn't about getting rich quick. It's not about investment strategies or side hustles or crypto or any of that. Those are tactics. Psychology is strategy, and the strategy is this: build a healthy relationship with money by understanding your scripts, aligning your spending with your values, focusing on control over amount, playing your own game instead of someone else's, and defining enough for yourself. Do those things, and whether you end up with $1 million or 100,000, you'll be wealthier than most people with 10 times your net worth, because wealth isn't what you have. It's how you feel about what you have. And that's completely in your control. So here is my challenge to you. For the next 30 days, track every dollar you spend and ask yourself one question before each purchase: is this bringing me closer to my definition of wealth, or further away? You might be surprised by the answer. And you might be even more surprised by how quickly your relationship with money transforms when you start asking the right questions. Thanks for watching. If this changed your perspective, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And remember, you're not trying to be rich. You're trying to be free.